News! Okay, we'll start with this. A recent addition to the MVP June show, headlined by O'Shea Jones, who will be making her MVP debut. WBA Super Flyweight Champion Jasmine Artiga will be satisfying her mandatory challenger, Natalie Delgado, in a super flyweight contest scheduled for 10 rounds. Jasmine, 34 years old, to Natalie, who's 31. Sporting a professional record of 15 wins with no losses and 1 draw, 7 knockouts. To Natalie Delgado, who sports a professional record of 20 wins with 7 losses, 2 draws, 5 knockouts, having never been knocked out. In 29 professional bouts, it's kind of impressive that she's got that many fights and she's never been stopped. She's been in there with some good fighters.
Yeah, you can tell by the losses.
Last in action earlier this year at the end of March, where she faced Jocelyn Fernandez, who she decisioned over 10 rounds. So Natalie won't have any ring rust that she needs to shake off. Currently on an 8-fight winning streak after having drawn with Kimberlyn Reyna in July of 2023.
She hasn't actually lost a fight since December of 2022 when she fought Bonita Fernandez.
In that way, she hasn't actually lost a fight in 3 going on 4 years. And so she is currently on a hot streak, where the champion, Jasmine Artiga, last saw action in December of last year opposite the ring, Stephanie Silva, who she decisioned over 10 rounds. She's been with MVP since the summer of last year, debuting under the promotional banner back in August in what was the Lynn Sandstorm fight, and she did manage to squeeze in 1 more fight in between now and then, but that was not an MVP show. This upcoming fight is. If you're not familiar with Jasmine Artiga's handiwork, she's not a hard fighter to understand. Very fast, very strong, very aggressive.
Athletic and explosive, best described as an artillery fighter, an action fighter.
And you could say something similar about Natalie Delgado. She's an action fighter too, favors trading punches in the pocket while sacrificing a great deal of defense for offense. In doing so, she's open for a lot of punches within proximity, which makes it surprising that she's never been knocked out before in 29 professional bouts, but there is a first time for everything. Opposite the ring, a very aggressive customer like Jasmine Artiga, there are only so many defensive lapses in judgment that you'll be allowed to get away with before you get hurt. I don't think Jasmine is going to find Natalie Delgado all that hard to find in there. They're both mid-range to inside fighters. They're both very aggressive. One of them is just more physically gifted than the other.
And that's what's going to decide it. That's what's going to make the biggest difference, that Jasmine Artiga's punches are a bit snappier, her movements are a bit sharper, she's more explosive. I think she's gonna beat Natalie Delgado to the punch, beat her like a drum, and maybe stop her. I like Jasmine Artiga to keep her WBA title.
Stay WBA champion, and beyond the fight, you have to imagine that unifications are in order, as Jasmine Artiga is but one of 4 champions in today's super flyweight division.
She's got the WBA title. Adelaida Ruiz has the WBC, Mexico's own Irma Garcia has the IBF, and Mizuki Hiruta, who's going to be boxing this weekend, she's got the WBO.
So you have to figure that if Jasmine Artiga takes care of business next month, she may then look to fight one of these fighters, one of these champions. And there is also the possibility that MVP moves to make the fight between her and Liana Cruz.
She's going to be boxing on the same show as Jasmine Artiga next month, making her MVP debut. If she makes it through her fight and Jasmine makes it through hers, you never know. Maybe they make the fight between them?
Elsewhere in the world of boxing, Floyd Mayweather vs. Mike Tyson exhibition postponed in new update as decision has been made after injury.
Who's injured?
Floyd Mayweather's clash with Mike Tyson will be rescheduled for fall of this year. The bout has been plunged into chaos in recent months with no concrete details being provided after the bout agreement was signed.
I knew to be skeptical when the rumored location for the match was the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Excuse me for saying so, but who in the Democratic Republic of the Congo has the money to pay both a Floyd Mayweather and a Mike Tyson? Who's supposed to be the financier?
We still don't know. Mayweather also has a raft of alternative bouts lined up, and things went quiet after it was announced he'd face Manny Pacquiao in a rematch. The bout with heavyweight legend Tyson was originally targeted for this past April, but the time passed and went, and now organizers have revealed that the bout is still on, but will be targeted for later in the year. Promoters CSI Sports have suggested that a broken hand is what kept Tyson from competing. He suffered the injury in training, but is expected to be fine again to face Mayweather.
Yeah, I remember a few weeks ago there were some rumblings about Mike sporting a cast or a brace on his hand, so you knew there was trouble in paradise.
In tandem with other nebulous elements in association with the match, like CSI Sports, who may be the registered promoter for the show, but where are they getting their money from?
Who's paying for this?
It is unclear exactly when this could land, but fall is the target, with the exact details to be announced, including the venue. Venues in Africa had previously been touted, but any final decision has yet to be made. Organizers could face a challenge, given the hectic schedule of Mayweather until the end of the year. The American legend will also face Greek kickboxing icon Mike Zambidis next month in yet another fight date. Money may also not be able to travel abroad until financial issues are resolved with the IRS, who threatened to confiscate his passport.
Well, then how's he supposed to go to Greece to fight Mike Zambidis?
And why is Mike Tyson fighting again? For Mike Tyson, it comes with great surprise that he is choosing to step in the squared circle again. The power-punching phenom is a shadow of his former self and claims he nearly died while preparing for his 2024 clash with Jake Paul. Tyson was beaten by the novice in a sad ending to his career, but he continues to chase big-paying exhibitions. He said, "I have a 14-year-old son, and my son said, 'Why? Why are you doing this?' For a moment, I didn't know what to say, and I felt sad for a moment."
In spite of the monster viewership they garnered on the Netflix platform, it was a sad exhibition, a sad display from Mike Tyson to where you can't imagine many people want to see him keep boxing, let alone against Floyd Mayweather. Shit better not be a pay-per-view.
Mike Tyson continued, "Listen, I made more money in my 50s than I did in my 20s, and I only had, 4 fights over my 50s? That's really interesting. From that perspective, I'm now 60 years old. The money doesn't mean anything. The people I love, I can take care of."
I don't imagine that Mike Tyson is hurting for money per se, and that's why he's doing this, but if somebody wants to offer him millions of dollars to do a little dance, do a little waltz, then he's willing to, whereas Floyd, his situation is a lot more dire, and it's not a matter of opinion, it's a matter of fact, that he owes a lot of people a lot of money, including the IRS. So if he's still fighting, it's for different reasons than Mike is.
There are so many nebulous elements to Floyd Mayweather's upcoming schedule. How is he supposed to box Mike Zambidis in Greece if the IRS is threatening to revoke his passport?
That's a pay-per-view.
If he does get to have that fight with Mike Zambidis, that's supposed to be a pay-per-view. Who does he expect to buy it? And who does he expect to buy a Mike Tyson exhibition later on in the year when we just got to watch Mike box on Netflix for no additional charge?
Nor should there have been, based on that sad display.
CSI Fight Sports is the registered promoter for the event, but where is the money coming from? Who's putting it up? Who's supposed to be the broadcaster for this thing? Because without that, there is no money. And to my knowledge, CSI Sports doesn't have a broadcast deal with anyone, so there are many nebulous elements to this proposed exhibition to where I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen at all.
In men's heavyweight news, Oleksandr Usyk says, "When I say I'm retired, I won't be back." Over the last year alone, Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao, Tyson Fury, and Vasyl Lomachenko have announced their comebacks to chase a challenge and a check. Usyk, however, won't be playing around when it comes to calling it quits. Once he's done, he's done. Usyk, a father of 4, who turns 40 in January, has consistently stated that the sand in the hourglass of his career is running out. That sentiment hasn't shifted ahead of his Saturday showdown against Rico Verhoeven in Egypt, which will headline a DAZN pay-per-view show. 3 fights including Verhoeven, and finished. Usyk said during an interview streamed by DAZN, "It's not 100%, but when I say I'm retired, I won't be back." 3 fights including Verhoeven would have to mean that Usyk only has 2 fights left before he hangs the gloves up. After cleaning out the competition with 2 wins each against Fury, Anthony Joshua, and Daniel Dubois, Usyk, the Ring Magazine, IBF, WBA, and WBC heavyweight champion, is dancing to a different kind of beat by taking on the Dutch kickboxer amidst the captivating backdrop at the pyramids at Giza. It's going to be different, but it's going to be a great show. Usyk said, "Of course, it's a tough fight.
It's not an easy walk. It doesn't matter who I am fighting. I am prepared 100%. He's a good challenge.
Although Usyk is listed as a 25-1 favorite, he maintains that he's not overlooking his novice challenger. Verhoeven has a kickboxing record of 66 wins, 21 knockouts, and 10 losses, but is just 1-0 in boxing and hasn't competed in it since 2014. My team is preparing me for his style, and I trust my team, Usyk said. I don't feel pressure in this fight. I just work. I do what I can do. I am training hard every day. I feel good. For me, it's my discipline, my work. As for the work that remains after Verhoeven and before retirement, Usyk, the ring's number 2 ranked pound-for-pound fighter, will have a small sample of significant slugfests to consider. Chief among them would be Kabayel, the WBC's interim champion and the ring's number 2 rated contender in the division.
You know, provided that Usyk makes it past Rico on Saturday, and everybody's expecting him to, it seems like Kabayel is the last real challenge left for the 2-time undisputed heavyweight champion. There's been some effort to inject the name of young Moses Itauma into the conversation for a fight with Usyk, but Moses is too young and too green to be viewed as a serious challenge for Oleksandr Usyk, and I don't expect that fight to happen, but the Kabayel fight might, as Bern Bewent advises Kabayel to wait for Usyk stadium fight. Bern Bewent believes Kabayel should avoid risking his long-awaited shot at Oleksandr Usyk in a stay-busy fight as talks continue over a possible heavyweight stadium event in Germany later this year. Bewent, the former longtime manager and CEO of Klitschko Management Group, spent 18 years guiding the Klitschko brothers through one of the most dominant heavyweight eras in modern boxing before leaving the role in 2018. Since then, Bewent has continued working as a heavyweight analyst for DAZN, DACH, covering many of the division's biggest fights, including Wortley vs. Dubois and this weekend's Oleksandr Usyk vs. Rico Verhoeven event. Before the Klitschko years, Bewent had already built decades of ringside experience as a commentator for German television stations dating back to the late 1980s, covering major fights involving Mike Tyson, Evander Holyfield, Lennox Lewis, George Foreman, Riddick Bowe, Sugar Ray Leonard, Tommy Hearns, Roberto Duran, and Julio Cesar Chavez. Bewent spoke to World Boxing News about Kabayel's position in the division amid growing speculation over Usyk's next move, ahead of the Ukrainian-facing kickboxing star Rico Verhoeven this weekend. Bewent believes Kabayel has earned his opportunity and warned against taking unnecessary risks before a potential world title clash. If Usyk wants this fight, Agit should go straight in and not risk a stay-busy fight, Bewent told WBN. I remember when I commentated on Tommy Morrison's fight against Michael Bent in 1993. Tommy, as WBO champion, had secured the unification bout against WBC champion Lennox Lewis for $10 million and lost the stay-busy fight against Bent by knockout in round 1, and a huge payday with it.
A cautionary tale.
World Boxing News previously reported that Usyk vs. Kabayel is being discussed for Germany later this year, as the unbeaten contender edges closer to his mandatory opportunity. Bewent confirmed he expects the fight to happen if Turkey remains interested in backing the event.
Turkey LL Sheikh.
So when this weekend's event was first announced, a lot of people were left wondering, why is Usyk boxing this guy? Why is he boxing a kickboxer? And in short order, it's because Turkey wants him to. At this late stage in his career, he's gonna do whatever Turkey wants him to do. So if he wants him to fight Rico, then he'll fight Rico. And if he wants him to fight Agit Kabayel, then he'll do that too. Agit Kabayel has long deserved a world title fight. If Turkey LL Sheikh, as we hear, wants to see and support the event, then it will happen, Bewent explained. It would be fantastic, and after our many Klitschko fights, finally another event in a stadium. Almost 1.5 million Ukrainians have been living in Germany since the brutal Russian war of aggression, and if their hero were to box here, it would be a fantastic event for them, and also for Agit Kabayel and his many German fans. Kabayel won comfortably in January against Damian Neba, and since becoming the WBC's mandatory contender, has only fought once per year in 2025 and 2026, therefore fitting only one more fight in before the end of the year makes the most sense, especially as Usyk would be ready for a late September or October collision that could find a home in a German football stadium with a roof. Gelsenkirchen, or Dusseldorf, are both not far from where Kabayel originates and resides, so either of those would make the most sense, and both have staged Vladimir Klitschko's world title fights in the past. Bowen also gave his thoughts on Usyk being allowed to defend his titles against Verhoeven, while 2 of the belts would become vacant if the champion lost the fight. I haven't been surprised by questionable decisions from the WBC and the WBA for a long time, said Bowen. In the end, it's always just about being there when there are sanctioning fees to be earned at big events. Bowen added that sanctioning politics have often muddied heavyweight title situations over the years.
Ask yourself, why would the WBC and the WBA allow Usyk to defend his titles against this guy? Why would they sanction this fight? It's because there's more money in it for them.
Usyk stands to make a multi-million-dollar purse boxing this novice. So why would the sanctioning bodies want to rock the boat when they're going to get paid from that? They're going to get paid too. So of course they're going to let him do it, even if it makes for poor optics.
Myself, I'm not overly critical of Oleksandr Usyk having a circus fight of his own because Anthony Joshua had one and Tyson Fury had one, and when he did it, he was a defending WBC champion. So I'm not overly critical that a consummate professional like Oleksandr Usyk, who's always chosen to do things the hard way and the right way, is taking his foot off the gas and finally fighting in an easy one. I'm okay with it.
Though afterwards, things are set to get very serious very fast for the reigning champion, with good reason. Agit Kabayel has earned his shot at the big time more than anybody, making a name for himself taking on the bogeymen that nobody else wanted. A then unbeaten Frankie Sanchez, a then unbeaten Arslanbek Makhmudov, a hard-punching, high-risk, low-reward Zhilei Zhang. I would like to see Usyk fight this guy. It's one of the few fights left for Usyk that I actually want to watch, though afterwards, I see no reason to stick around. It would be overkill. There's already talk of Usyk fighting in another special event in Istanbul,
one like this weekend's.
I only hope that the 3 alphabet titles that he currently holds don't get log-jammed as a result. Though as far as more serious fights, with more serious fighters like Agit Kabayel, assuming that he fights him and he beats him later on in the year in Germany, I see no reason for him to keep taking on fights like that. At some point, you need to quit while you're ahead because the only place to go is down.
He's completed boxing. There's nothing left to prove anymore.
And I think the heavyweight division is ready to move on, ready for a new cycle of fighters, a new crop of champions. I think it would be best for Usyk to relinquish the titles and retire officially after the Kabayel fight. If you're going to be all tied up being dancing bear for Turkey El Al Sheikh, that's fine. Make your money. Just don't hold up the division in the process.
I want to see him retire on top. I want to see him retire undefeated. And beyond this year, I hope that he does.